Hundreds of thousands of new websites are built every single day, but a fraction of them are actually built to rank in Google and appear in AI answers. In this video, I'll show you how to get ahead of 80% of those websites by building one that's optimized from the start with the help of Lovable and Semrush's MCP. I'm also going to show you how to do it all live, although I'll make some cuts here and there while Lovable is building to respect your time, but you'll see every step, every tweak, and every prompt to illustrate just how quick and easy this process is. I'm also going to give myself a time limit here because I have one camera battery and I know it only lasts around an hour, so you can see just how fast you can put a website together with these tools. Let's get started. So I'm not going to walk through the setup steps for Lovable. You just make an account as you would with any other tool or software, but I will quickly show you how you can connect your Semrush account. Now you can of course build a website in Lovable without connecting your account right now, and then you can perform keyword research and SEO analysis separately later on, but it's a very straightforward setup step, and this will allow you to get SEO insights for your website as you go and optimize it basically as you're building it. So to do this, you just click this plus button here, go to the connectors option, and you can actually see Semrush's logo there. If you click this, and then type in Semrush, it should already be there on the dashboard anyway. You can see I have it enabled here, and you would just click this and follow the setup steps. Now we have another video all about using Semrush and Lovable together, so I recommend you watch that to get more ideas around improving the visibility of any of your projects. And in that video, I go into way more detail on the setup steps as well. Now, if you don't have a Semrush account yet, just head to the description of this video where you'll find a link to sign up for a free trial. To make this entire website creation process even easier, I'll be giving you a document, again linked in the description of this video, that you can use to copy the exact prompts that I use and templates for your own business, along with some extra things that will just make this process, as I say, much easier. Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to use a fictional business that I used Claude to help me put together. You can see here it's called Penny and Plan. Hopefully your business has a better name than that. And this fictional business offers some digital products, it offers some tools, service landing pages, it will have some blog content as well. There will be the usual about and contact pages and that kind of thing. And the goal here is just to show you all of the different kinds of websites that you can build with Lovable, whether it's e-commerce or a portfolio website or just a blog. And so this will allow me to show you all of that stuff in one go. So I'll enter the starter prompt, which you'll find in the linked document. And I've also added just in this massive prompt here, the business brief along with the style guide. And then towards the end, we have some SEO best practices as well. Lovable will build your site with SEO best practices in mind, but I find it's always best to just provide some extra guidance from the start, just to improve our chances of building an optimized website from the get-go. So we're in plan mode right now, and that means that I can press enter here and Lovable won't start actually building anything right away, and instead it will read through everything and make sure it understands what it needs to do, and it will come back to me with a plan before it then starts building. And this just makes sure that you can double check that the tool has understood what you're actually asking of it before you press build, and this can save you some usage credits down the line as you can basically set up for success a little better from the beginning. Now you can use this plan mode throughout the entire build if you want. Before you get it to do anything, you can use plan mode to basically see what it thinks it should be doing and comment on that or approve it or whatever you need to do. So I'll press go here, and we will see what plan Lovable comes back to me with before we then start actually building the website. So you can see here that it has told me what Penny and Plan is, what the website is all about. It has suggested the full scope it's going to cover, and then it's going to ask me a few questions. So here it's asking how much of the site should I build in this first pass. I recommend not going for everything right away. In my experience, it usually doesn't go to build everything right away anyway. It usually does start with 1 or 2 pages, but I would go for either foundation only. Now this is not going to be the same prompt that you will get. These AI tools don't always give the same outputs to everybody, as you probably know by now. But if it asks you a similar question, I would probably go for core first and then expand, or even just starting with 1 page if you really wanted to. It's going to ask things about placeholders, and you could add email capture or set up payments. That's something you can do down the line. For the sake of this tutorial, I am going to keep design only placeholders. Because I've suggested it builds a tool for me, I would quite like it to be fully functional, just to kind of stress test how well this tool can put together a website with functionality beyond blog posts and product pages. And then it's going to ask if it wants to write blog posts for me. So I'm actually going to respond with a custom answer here. I'm just going to streamline this for now and say don't write any posts, and instead I will provide them later. So I'll hit submit, and then this should continue with the plan. So now we have the plan here. Now you could go through this and scrutinize every stage of it to make sure it's going to create the site that you want it to create. You can see it is suggesting a site architecture. It's giving me some information about content highlights and some of the SEO stuff, but we'll come back to that a little bit later. I'm just going to hit approve, and then I will come back whenever we have the first pages of our website ready. So here we have the finished website, at least the first few pages of the website from Lovable. I just want to show some of the things you can do within Lovable that can make this entire editing process even easier. You'll see down the bottom here, we have a bar with the option for selecting elements. Now this lets you select elements, and you can see in the chat box over here, it has shown Lovable that you have selected that. And then you can just ask Lovable to modify or remove the selected element, and you can just press clear if you don't want to do anything. The text option lets you edit text as you want. So you can come in here, you can remove words, add them in, that kind of thing. But the annotation tool is what I really want to draw your attention to, because this is super useful when you have very specific things that you want Lovable to change. So if I draw probably a really bad circle around this heading here, it's really hard to draw things with a mouse. I can then ask Lovable to double the font size, hit enter, and hopefully it will know exactly what I'm talking about. And there we go. That looks like more than double the font size to me, but I could be wrong. This is just to illustrate the kinds of things you can get it to do with these annotations. You could highlight this image or point to it, or point to a specific part of the website, whether it's a button, or maybe down here you want to tweak the way this text looks on the background or change the colors. It's just very easy to quickly ask Lovable to make the changes that you might not know how to make within the code itself. The final thing I want to call attention to is this option here to look at your website on tablet and mobile. You can see everything seems to look fine on mobile, and if you click the buttons and go to the other pages, you can experiment to see how well optimized it is for mobile. In my experience, things are generally quite optimized from the beginning, but if you run into any issues, you would just ask Lovable to fix them relative to that specific device. And yes, I see the irony of the heading real budgets for real people right next to what looks like an AI image, but for the purposes of this video, we are just going to ignore that. So you can see Lovable has generated all of the pages. If I look in here at the different products, you can see there's pricing, there's some information about each one. It's obviously lacking some images and things like that for now. You can see it has some internal links that do actually go to the right places. We have coaching, these would be landing pages. Now at the moment they're very bare bones and we would want to flesh them out a lot. And if we go to the about page, we can see some information about the aptly named owner of this finance website, and work with me pages with some contact information, FAQ, there are some working widgets here, so this is really cool. The blog has some placeholders for now. If you click into these, yeah, it's saying this post is on the way, and it should have a URL here. It possibly doesn't for now because these are placeholders, but once these go live, they would have URL slugs based on either what you upload or what the tool thinks the URL should be, which you should obviously check before you publish them. Now, on the topic of blog posts, I don't recommend that you either use the AI to generate the entire content for you, or that you ask it to create a bunch of posts at one time. You're going to probably want to upload the content yourself, and you can then use Lovable whenever you're in here to tweak the layout of the blog post template so that for any future posts you upload, they all follow that template. It's just much faster. I am going to add one AI generated piece of content here purely for illustrative purposes. It's just so that the site has some content on it that I can then analyze for search engine optimization in one of the later steps. And you can see I'm just going to ask it to add a post with this title and then this content that I have just pasted in below. While that's running, it's worth taking a look at the tool that it built. Now, this is just again to kind of flex the power of Lovable itself. It is a budget calculator, and you can see here there are spaces for numbers. So if you put in some numbers in here, that would be a good month, 30 grand. You can add your bills. Obviously, these numbers are going to be completely made up. I just want to test the functionality of this. And you can see on the right here, it spits out some numbers like breathing room, so what you have left after your bills and debts and that kind of thing. Clearly, this is something you would want to check before you publish it. But I just want to clarify, I did not build this tool. Lovable built this based on the initial prompt that I gave. You will see that in the business overview template example here. This was the prompt basically that was relevant to this tool that it is built. So obviously you would put a lot more effort into any tool that you were building, but you can see even down here it is saying you can grab the paycheck plan template and it's relevant to the budget calculator here, and even linking to the coaching stuff as well. So now we have the website together, and it should already be fairly optimized for search engines and AI visibility right out of the gate. It is time to take the optimization a little bit further. So one of the ways we can do that is to go to the SEO and AI search tab, which you'll find up in this bar here. This is how you can look at the code of the site and see your files and just the preview page. But if you go to this more option here, down the bottom, we have SEO and AI search. You can see it provides some SEO assistance powered by Semrush. You can also get a custom domain if you want to link it to a domain that you already own. And then you will see some information here about your AI visibility. Now, this is a very basic level. And so what we are going to do is actually in the chat window here, we can just ask Lovable to tell us how we could improve the site's SEO, and it will provide a list of things that we could be doing. Now, as I mentioned, the site that you build will probably be fairly optimized from the beginning, but this is a good way to just kind of double down on the best practices that we uploaded in the document, but also general web development best practices. So I'm just going to tell Lovable to implement the fixes that it is suggested here. You would obviously want to go through and make sure they all make sense, whether you actually need to make those changes, but I just want to show how easy it is to go from tell me how we could improve to improve. So you can see it is now done, and it gives you the details of the things that it has changed if you want to go through them. So that's how to make some very quick changes, and we will assess whether these changes were actually made and whether we have an optimized site in a second. But I just want to show some of the extra functionality that is built into this with the Semrush integration. So I'm going to tell Lovable to use Semrush to find me a list of keywords that I should be targeting across my site's pages, and also provide some filters for monthly search volume and a very loose bit of guidance about competitiveness. I'm also going to ask Lovable to find my top 3 competitors along with the top keywords that they rank for. So I'm just going to hit enter and we'll see what we get back. So you'll see that Lovable has given me 10 keywords to target across our core pages. Now it's suggesting things like financial coach, budget by paycheck, budget journal, debt snowball tracker. These all seem pretty relevant. We have volume, difficulty, level of competition, and it's even suggesting which pages we could match it to, which is very interesting. It suggests which ones are maybe early bets that we want to take, and then it gives me my top competitors along with their estimated traffic, and then the top keywords that they are ranking for. At first glance, these competitors seem to be very niche down, and so I would possibly want to add my competitors manually and then get Lovable to use them as the competitor set for any future prompts around competitor analysis. And you can see down here that it is suggesting it could perform a full-on keyword gap analysis once my domain is live. And that is the next stage, to actually publish the website so that we can perform more SEO analysis and of course get the website live and in front of our target audience. Before you hit publish, you probably want to just make sure the site looks okay and you've made any design changes you want to make. Obviously, if you've added real content to the site, make sure that all looks okay, and importantly, make sure any checkout processes. So for example, if I go into the shop here, I cannot get the tracker for this yet. I would need to hook up a payment provider. If I was setting up emails either to my own inbox, I'd need to make sure that is live. I'd make sure that any email signups do lead to the customer joining the email list, and essentially just make sure all of my CTAs actually work. But next step is to publish the site. So when your site is complete and you're ready to publish it, you can just hit this publish button up the top. You'll see for now, it just gives you a domain at the .lovable.app domain. You can add a custom domain here, but I'm just going to go with this, and I think I'll remove Forge from the end of that. I'll keep it as Penny and Plan. I'll hit continue. I'll do public for now. Hit continue again. You can add a description here along with a title. It shows you how it would look in search. I'm just going to hit continue again, and then you can run a security scan here. I'll run it for the sake of it. This just runs a security scan of your code to make sure there are no glaring issues, but I will say that you will want to check this yourself or have a developer look at it if you are going to be handling customer data and payments and those kinds of things, because it's very easy to vibe code something that on the surface looks like it works, but actually under the surface is quite broken or there are security issues. So I'm not vouching for the security of any vibe coded website here because I don't know what you've built. I can't see your code, and until you have somebody that knows what they're doing review that, you can't know if it's secure for your customers as well. This is one step you can take, and for something like a personal portfolio website, that might be enough. While this is scanning, it is worth noting that you can, as I say, add your own custom domain here, and you can also host through Lovable Cloud, which is what I will do here just for the sake of ease, but you can also host it anywhere else you want, and I will leave some documents in the description below that will help you set up your hosting elsewhere and how to transfer it to or from Lovable. The instructions for that will vary depending on the hosting process you want to follow, and so for the easiest setup, I'm just going to host it through Lovable for now. You can see there were no issues found on the security scan, so I'm just going to hit publish. And you can see here the site is live and it is operational. If you click on everything, it works just as it did in the preview, so that's great. But we are going to audit this site with Semrush Site Audit to see if all of those SEO tweaks we made are actually working. So I'll create a new project over in Semrush and I'll come back whenever the website has been audited. So over in Semrush site audits, you can see in terms of site health, we are doing reasonable, and in AI search health, we are doing well as well. If I go to the issues tab, you can see there are potentially some structured data issues here. We have a sitemap file that has an error. My sneaking suspicion, having run this in the past, is that it likes to use relative URLs for sitemaps, which triggers the issue in Semrush site audit. And we can just simply head back to Lovable and tell Lovable to use absolute URLs for the sitemap. And if we hit enter, that should go and fix that while we look at any other issues that our site may have. Some of these here I'm not super worried about right now because we don't have a lot of text on the pages and we don't have any blog posts and things like that. So I'm not surprised there are issues there. External links with the no follow attributes, these will all be pointing to Lovable because I've built this site on Lovable. Once you put the site live and if you remove any links or badges for Lovable, then those issues will disappear. And then we have a lot of pages with only one incoming internal link. That is not a surprise. We haven't built out our internal linking quite yet. So with this site audit complete, I could go through these issues and I could flag any of the ones I want to fix to Lovable. And I could even use the information from these how to fix boxes here to provide Lovable with information about how to fix each issue. But you can usually rely on the tool to provide the fix on its own. And then I could keep iterating on this to improve the site's SEO and then maintain it over time by running regular site audits via Semrush. Sign up for a Semrush free trial via the link in the description below to start auditing your own website today. Now, to see how well your website performs in terms of speed, use Google's PageSpeed Insights tool and just enter your domain here and click Analyze. So in terms of page speed, you can see we got a 76 overall, and accessibility best practices, they are all ticked as well. You can see the site is loading a little bit slowly. I would imagine that is to do with the big image on the homepage. Yeah, there's the image pulling us back a little bit on the LCP, which is their largest contentful paint core web vital. But interestingly, further down agentic browsing, it is suggesting that we are passing the audits there, which is a good thing for AI visibility. So if you had issues here, you could paste in the information here into Lovable and basically get it to fix the issues for you. And that would hopefully improve your page load times. I'd also like to check the schema markup of the website. So I'm going to go to this schema validator tool and I'm going to enter the URL and click run test. You can see here it has picked up the schema with 0 errors and 0 warnings, which is great. I'd like to run another test actually to see how it has coped with the product schema. You can see it has picked up the organization schema again, and then the product schema is here. Now, you'd want to actually double check that this makes sense and everything here is correct, but I would say this is a pretty good start for somebody that has never built a website with any schema before, and to get Lovable to put it together with everything running seemingly correct. Again, I would dig deeper here to make sure that everything on the site is set up correctly, but having looked at the homepage and one product, so far so good. So another check that I want to perform here is to check what the page looks like if I inspect and then go to settings, and if I disable JavaScript and then reload the page, just double check that's worked, you can see the site still looks fine for the most part. There are some issues perhaps down here, but if I go to the shop pages, everything still looks fine. All of our internal links work. This is the part that I imagine might not work without JavaScript. So if I just enter some numbers in here, yeah, you can see that the calculator isn't working. So we would want to decide whether we want that to be able to work with and without JavaScript, or whether we might want to explore other ways to use that. Now, the reason I am checking for this is because AI tools like ChatGPT and Claude and those kinds of tools, they often struggle with JavaScript heavy websites in terms of parsing them. And while things could change in the future, and these tools are likely to improve their ability to parse code beyond HTML, it is a good idea to ensure your site is not too JavaScript heavy for improved AI visibility. So now I just want to check the SEO of the current blog post that we have live on the site. So I'm just going to get it to analyze it, use Semrush to analyze its SEO and find the top pages that rank for this term along with some authority and backlink metrics. So you can see here that Lovable has analyzed the how to make a budget post. It has criticized my keyword targeting, suggesting that I am targeting a massive keyword in terms of demand. And for a brand new site with low authority, ranking for this is going to be unlikely. I'm not surprised. It's given me some information about who currently ranks, and you can see some massive sites here. It's suggesting the content is genuinely strong. Now, I wouldn't pay too much attention to that, given that this was drafted with AI, but it has suggested that we re-anchor to more winnable long-tail keywords. It's given me some tweaks I could make to the title tag, H2, adding an FAQ block with FAQ schema, and adding internal links with other posts. Now, if I was happy with all of this, I could just say, make these tweaks. Lovable will go and make the tweaks. You can see right now it's a very basic post. We don't have have any FAQs or anything at the end. So you can see Lovable has made the tweaks. It's added an FAQ box right at the start, which I probably wouldn't want. It's added FAQs everywhere actually. So clearly that is not what we wanted to do. So I'm going to ask it to remove all of them besides the last one. This is just an example of how things can go wrong whenever you are vibe coding a website, but also how easy it can be to fix the issues by just asking the tool to fix them. So with a little bit of back and forth with Lovable, I finally got it to add the FAQs only at the end and had to add the original FAQs back in. But this is just an example of how this process doesn't always go as smoothly as you might like it to, but with some quick messages, you can generally get things back to where they should be. Now, I will also say that had I been using plan mode instead of build mode, I may have been able to get on top of this issue before it had actually become 4 different FAQ blocks within the one piece of content. Take that as a lesson to use plan mode more often. So the time on my camera says we have been recording for around about an hour and 13 minutes now. This shows just how quickly you can put together a fully functional website with a storefront, product pages, built-in tools, service pages, blog posts, and so much more. And a good chunk of that time was actually spent waiting on Lovable building things for us. So in terms of active work, it was probably closer to about half an hour. Of course, you should be checking the site yourself with SEO best practices in mind, because at the end of the day, this was put together by a machine. I'm not suggesting that web development itself is as easy as sending a few prompts to an AI tool, but for many people watching this, it will get you started in a way that simply wasn't possible before tools like Lovable came along. Obviously, you could take this much further. If this was my own brand's website, for example, I would be publishing content, building backlinks, optimizing for AI visibility, and all the other SEO and marketing tasks that you need to do if you want to build a successful website. But this is a solid start, and it's going to get you from scratch to a full-on website very quickly. If you want to optimize your own website, sign up for a Semrush account via the link in the description. And make sure to subscribe to the Semrush YouTube channel, since we're uploading new content every single week to help you improve your online visibility. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.